at least around the viewing area. A couple of cells immediately off to the south of Louisville. That one near Shepherdsville on Interstate 65 in Bullitt County. That one is producing hail. Also has a little bit of rotation in it. Other strong cells in western sections of Hardin County, northern Breckenridge County, and the storm that we continue to really watch closely, producing the tornado warning, which, by the way, is radar indicated. Want to point that out. No confirmed touchdowns. We have had hail reports from this particular system, but this is the storm that is warned for a possible tornado, and you can see why there's still a little bit of a hook there kind of hanging on the southwestern flank of that storm. Whenever you see this kind of a kidney being appearanced on the old radar scope, that's telling us that we have some rotation in the atmosphere, and the radar certainly confirms that. As a matter of fact, we'll go into our wind mode or velocity mode, see what's going on here. And yeah, the rotation, as John mentioned a few minutes ago, is still relatively broad, but it is there. Green, winds blowing towards the left-hand portion of your TV set. Red, the opposite direction, and there's that little area of rotation that I've been talking about. Another big storm holding just off to the south of Louisville in Bullitt County. Let's go over to meteorologist John Belski for that one. John, that one looks kind of mean down around Claremont.
Just issued a warning for quarter-size hail for that's the eastern Bullitt, and it includes the city of Bardstown up through the Cox's Creek area. Now, also this new warning also just came out, and this is in southern Indiana, Jay. It's mainly for wind and hail, but there's National Weather Service says hail the size up to a $half size.
Wow.
The storm is just moving in on the Georgetown area right now. It'll spread eastward right along Interstate 64 and eventually will hit New Albany and possibly portions of Louisville. So we'll be tracking that storm also. Again, that's non-tornadic, but I did want to mention that because, again, the $half size hail is getting pretty big there. So if you live in the New Albany or the Floyd's Knobs area, you might, if you get a chance, pull your car in the garage.
There you go. Good advice. Absolutely. These scattered storms now popping up across a good chunk of the region, close to 64, points off to the south, and that's where the better chances for storms, at least severe thunderstorm activity, will be for the next couple of hours. All right, we'll pull back out here, and we'll be tracking some of these cells. First, let's go ahead and zoom into the Bullitt County system. This storm looking pretty mean on the radar scope right now. As you can see, much of it is just off to the east of I-65. This is moving off towards the east at a pretty good clip. I'll tell you what, so John, if you would, on Super Doppler radar, let's go ahead and track this particular cell that's in Bullitt County, moving towards Cox's Creek, as you mentioned, towards the Bardstown area. May clip Bardstown here in the next few minutes. Guys, let's go over to Super Doppler radar, and we'll do some tracking here for you. There it is. Nasty looking cell there. That also has a little bit of rotation. It appears, at least on the radar scope, that little indentation right there indicating some pretty good inflow to the warm, moist air and the cold air coming out of the storm and wrapping around it. So certainly potential for some wind damages there, some large hail as this thing moves off towards the east at 30 miles an hour. Deatsville, 709. Hunters, 715. Bourbon Springs around 716, Cox's Creek 717, the Nazareth area as well 717. If you're in Bardstown, you're probably looking around 715 to 717 as well. Looks like you'll be getting some thunderstorm activity, maybe some gusty winds as the southern flank of that cell moves very, very close to your area. All right, John, if you would, let's pull back out here a little bit on Super Doppler radar. Let's go over to the storm there that's in Washington County, still producing that tornado warning. And again, we've been watching the wires as far as the law enforcement reports are concerned, National Weather Service reports. The thing that we can say about this storm, even though it's warned for a tornado warning, and folks, you should be in your basement right now if you're in Washington County, north and northeast of Springfield, no confirmed tornado touchdowns. This is moving off to the east. John, if you would, let's track that. There you go. Now, we're tracking the most dangerous part of the cell. I realize it's already storming in some locations here, but we're tracking the rotation that's right about in that area. So if you're in basically the Jenkinsville vicinity, Deep Creek, Battle, Stewart, or Bushtown, in and around these locations over the next 5 to 10 minutes, you could be looking at least the potential for some damaging winds and maybe even a little bit of large hail too, hail that could be the size of quarters in a few spots. All right, let's go back to meteorologist John Belski tracking other storms that are holding just off to the west of the downtown area right now.
Yeah, I was just checking to see if we had any hail reports. Nothing coming in yet, Jay, but again, this is north of the river. Hailstorm moving in on Georgetown, Indiana, western Floyd County, up to half-dollar size hail. Also, the National Weather Service back on that Springfield tornado just told me that although there's nothing confirmed on the ground, the conditions are still, the way it looks on the radar, not favorable, but potential for a touchdown in extreme eastern Washington County with that tornado-warned storm there.
Okay.
So, but there's been no reports of any touchdowns with that. But it did pass. The rotation passed just on the north side of Springfield a few minutes ago, and now it's moving toward the rural eastern parts of Washington County there. So,
okay, sounds good. John, thank you.
That will expire in about 6 minutes that morning.
Okay, great, sounds good. So let's keep it that way. Let's keep these big storms out of the region. Let me take you back to the Doppler network. This is Max 2. And again, there's the big storm that's holding just off to the east-southeast of Shepherdsville and Bullitt County, heading towards northern Nelson County. This warned for some hail and also some gusty winds. We'll pull back out. We'll take a look at all of the viewing area because we have other storms that are very, very close to the metro now. At that particular cell that's moving into western sections of Floyd County is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing some gusty winds and hail that could be the size of quarters as well. Also, if you look real close, it too looks like it may be rotating, a little bit of a hook trying to show up on that particular cell. It is moving off towards the east at speeds of around 30 miles per hour, and as long as it continues on that track in speed, it will be impacting the metro here in relatively short order. So what I'm going to do is track this thing for you as it moves towards the metro. It looks like it'll be moving towards here New Albany in relatively short order. The downtown region, especially west and northwestern portions of Jefferson County, moving quickly off to the east, speeds of around 30 miles per hour. Places in the path of this particular cell, be on the lookout for hail and high winds. New Albany, 13 minutes out. Louisville, about 20 minutes away. Jeffersonville and Oak Park, 23 to 27 minutes out. The St. Matthews area, 30 minutes out. Over towards Linden and the East End there, about 37 to 40 minutes out. And as long as it continues on that track, it'll be impacting the Prospect area, the Worthington vicinity over towards Crestwood within the next 45 minutes or so, as long as it continues its current track speed and also intensity. So a lot of storms really firing up across the region on this Saturday evening. A lot of jet stream energy, as I mentioned, a lot of warmth and humidity. Not necessarily in Louisville, kind of chilly throughout the day. Very chilly for the runners this morning at the mini and also the full marathon, but immediately south of town, boy, where there was a warm front draped across the region. And by the way, that's what's giving rise to many of these storms. It was in the 70s and also the lower 80s. Another big storm complex is coming out of portions of southwestern Indiana, western Kentucky. We'll have to watch those. Those have had at least a history of producing tornadoes and also some wind damage. Another big storm right here just north of Hardinsburg, in and around Hardinsburg. This at least has the potential to produce maybe a little bit of hail and some gusty winds as it too moves off towards the east at speeds of around 30 miles per hour. So at this time, they're just kind of hit and miss. They're scattered, widely scattered, but in a situation like this, when you have these scattered or discrete thunderstorms popping up, especially with the wind energy we have in the atmosphere, it's easy for these storms to start rotating. Whenever you get a rotating thunderstorm, chances for that storm to produce severe weather go way, way up. And we're talking high straight line winds, some large hail, and under the perfect conditions we don't want to see, if the rotation tightens, you can get a tornado spin up. All right, here's that other big cluster that we're watching immediately west of sections of Breckinridge County and Grayson County. No doubt you can see that backward sea appearance just south of Owensboro. That storm complex likely producing some pretty high winds. So if you're watching from Breckinridge County, western Grayson County, including the Rough River Lake area, you got some big storms that will be impacting your vicinity here within the next 30 minutes. Storms that will likely contain hail and also some high winds. And don't forget, conditions are somewhat favorable for some tornado spin-ups, some weak tornado spin-ups, as the tornado warning is still in effect for northern Washington County for about the next minute or so. That storm getting ready to move out of our viewing area towards the Lexington vicinity here in the next several minutes. So just some widely scattered storms around the region. Really quick, zoom in on portions of E-Town in Hardin County. Looks like some pretty strong weather immediately west of you, some heavy downpours. Kind of discombobulated here. This storm doesn't look all that impressive right now, but it is likely producing some gusty winds and might have a little bit of hail as it too moves off towards the east at speeds of around 30 miles per hour. Keep in mind, a severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect for areas just south of Louisville for the remainder of the evening until about 11 o'clock tonight. John and I were looking at the situation. We've been looking at it all day. We think the severe thunderstorm threat will likely wrap up within the next couple of hours as everything pushes off towards the southeast. All right, let's go back to meteorologist John Belski. John, any other reports coming on in from the storms around the region?
The warning for the tornado warning has been downgraded to a severe thunderstorm warning, and that's the storm moving over eastern Washington County, Kentucky, moving toward the Harrodsburg area. So that's a severe thunderstorm warning. Now, take a look at this picture, Jay. This is from Harrison County, Crandall, showing not the hail's not the largest, but it's covering the ground there. And that storm right now is moving into western Floyd, and there's that thunderstorm warning in effect there. But the good news is the tornado warning has expired, and we will continue to have these hailers in the area. I've not heard any reports of any wind damage. 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts, we get a few reports of that, but no reports of any damaging winds in our area. Just a lot of these hail reports coming in now. We had quarter-size hail, Lebanon Junction, and that storm is down in Nelson County now. And
nothing really concentrated. It seems to be very hit and miss, right? Very widely scattered from these cells for the most part.
Right. And they're popping up here and there. Nothing, no big line or anything like that at this point. So we're hoping it stays that way. Very
good, John. Thank you so very much. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the warnings, and then what we're going to do is get you back to programming here. Here are the latest warnings that we do have around the viewing area. Severe thunderstorm warnings, and plenty of them, basically south of Louisville, Bullitt County, Nelson County, southwestern Spencer County. You can see the tornado warning that was in effect for Washington County, just northeast of Springfield. That has been discontinued and replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning. So folks, if you're watching from northern portions or listening from northern portions of Washington County, you can come out of your basements, as the threat for a tornado, at least for now, has bypassed you off towards the east. Other severe thunderstorm warnings in effect and very close to the metro, portions of Floyd County right now. That's a pretty big storm. John has been talking about that one. This one already producing some hail as well. And this is going to impact the metro here as it moves from Floyd County on into our region. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is get rid of the warnings here for you. You can take a look at this storm. And there you go. That's a mean-looking storm bearing down on New Albany. And again, some high winds, maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour, heavy downpours, and the possibility of some hail. Half-inch to three-quarter-inch hail at this point in time is what we have seen, and it could be as big as 1 inch in diameter. We haven't seen that yet from that particular cell, but nonetheless, pretty mean cell that will likely graze portions of Jefferson County and southern Clark County here over the next 30 minutes. So the good news, the tornado warning for Washington County, Kentucky has been allowed to expire. Still dealing with severe thunderstorm warnings from near Louisville. The better chances the next few hours for widespread severe weather, including some large hail, some high winds, and also maybe an isolated tornado spin-up or two. That looks to be mainly south of the metro. Folks, we're going to keep you posted. We'll be cutting in as needed here on WLKY. Don't forget, for the latest information away from your TV set, have you covered there as well, WLKY.com. Let's get you back to regular programming. Minutes, a storm that is looking very nasty on the radar scope. Lots of rotation, and the possibility also of some very large hail. That also exists with this particular storm. Here is the rotation in green. You can see winds that are blowing towards the left-hand portion of your TV set, red in the opposite direction, right on top of one another. That's the rotation that's moving away from Bardstown, but now into extreme eastern Nelson County and northwestern Washington County of Kentucky. Let's go over to Super Doppler radar here. We're going to track this thing for you, and we're tracking the most dangerous part of the cell. That is the rotation or the potential tornado. Again, this is radar indicated, but the rotation is extremely strong here, so probably the best rotation, if you will, that we've seen so far, at least in our viewing area on this Saturday evening. Those yellow circles indicate lots of rotation in the upper levels of the atmosphere, the mid-levels as well, and whenever you have rings that are on top of one another, that's telling us that the entire storm core is rotating, and that's why the tornado warning has been issued. Booker, 730, Maud, 730, Hardesty, 738, and the Poland area, 738. John, what do you have?
Just talking with the National Weather Service, the warning was issued for broad rotation. It's tightening up. They think that there may actually be 2 tornadoes now, one near the Maud area and the other one a little further north. So nothing confirmed on the ground, but they're saying that they're watching 2 areas increasing, sign of a possible 2 tornadoes trying to form there. This is all radar indicated. No reports from spotters at this point, but if you live east of Bardstown, in Nelson County and also especially across the northern half of Washington County, you do need to be in your tornado safe spot at this point. If you live, over toward the Willisburg area where you've already had one warning, and if you don't have a basement, if you have a neighbor, that's within running distance in the next few minutes, you can head to their house. But again, want to emphasize this is not on the ground, but the rotation is increasing with this, according to the National Weather Service on the radar.
You can see that just clear as day there. I'm going to walk into the key wall here and talk a little bit about this. As John mentioned, 2 areas of rotation, a possibility of maybe a couple of tornadoes trying to form, but the bigger rotation right in this general area. We are east of Bardstown right now. There's U.S. Highway 150. We have State Highway 55 across Washington County, and notice what's happening here. Notice we have this area of pink that is starting to accelerate off towards the east, while we have just off to the north of there a good inflow. That's telling us we got a lot of rotation. And now look at the black showing up across this region. John, if you would please, can you pull out here just a little bit? I'll get a little bit better of a bearing as to where this thing is located. Look at the black showing up now in northern portions of Washington County, east of Bardstown, east-northeast of Bardstown into Nelson County as well. Boy, likely a possibility of some large hail. You got a hail indicator on that thing? That is looking pretty nasty right now. It looks like that hail may be reaching down towards the ground. So in addition...
Yeah, about almost an inch and a half.
Inch and a half. So you're nearing golf ball-sized hail with this particular cell as it moves off towards the east. Back to the Doppler network, we have the rotation fired up here for you, and there it is, plain as day, as this entire complex moves now into Washington County, getting a little bit farther away from Bardstown. I think it's safe to say if you're watching from Bardstown, in and around the Bardstown region anyway, close to Bardstown, you can come out of your basements. The threat has bypassed you, now off to your east, but it is bearing down on western Washington County, immediately north of Springfield, towards Willisburg, anywhere across the northern 1/2, northern 2/3 of Washington County. Please get into that basement right now, or as you are underneath a tornado warning for the next several minutes for a storm that is looking extremely nasty on the radar scope. There is the warning, and you can see it encompasses northeastern and eastern Nelson County on into northern Washington County here for the next several minutes for that very strong rotation. Stay in your basement, folks. This is a nasty looking storm as it moves off towards the east at speeds very quickly, around 30 to 35 miles per hour. Other strong storms are now bearing down on the metro region. I'll zoom in tight. John, this thing is not warned for, is it?
Warning for Louisville here on that.
Okay.
So this is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and a quarter-size hail. This just blew through downtown. So northeastern and eastern Jefferson County, also areas east side of Jeff, and this is moving into the east end there. So again, it's not a tornado warning, but a severe thunderstorm warning. And of course, you know, we've had the chow wagon going down there.
That's
I'm sure
right.
Everyone had to take cover because there's been a lot of lightning with this storm. But again, that is a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of the Louisville area now.
You know, as far as the timing goes, the Derby Festival that's going on, not good timing. We don't want this nasty weather, but we have to deal with it. It looks like this storm, as far as the severe threat goes for the metro, this will be it. Once this storm passes through, not expecting much more for the metro region. I think the main threat for severe weather will be shifting a little bit farther south where it is presently located. But let's go ahead and track this storm as it continues to move across portions of Jefferson County, mainly the northern 1/3 of the county. You can see close to St. Matthews now, running up Interstate 71 to near Northfield, also moving off to the east. Yes, sir.
Dime-size hail out the back door here at the station right now.
There you go. So we too, right here at our studio, located basically just in this general area, dime-sized hail coming down, in addition to the heavy rainfall and also the gusty winds. Let's track this thing as it moves quickly off to the east at speeds of around 35 miles per hour. Leading edge in this general location, and we'll move it off towards the east quickly. This is going to carry it on into portions of Oldham County as well as Shelby County. If you're watching from St. Matthews, Linden, Springhurst, Middletown, Pee Wee Valley, Todd's Point, even the Prospect area, the Worthington area on the northern flank of this thing, Crestwood, anywhere from now over the next 30 minutes, I get a possibility of some hail and some pretty high winds that could be at least upwards of 50, maybe isolated 60 miles per hour as this one cell moves on through. So a lot of nasty weather actually across the viewing area, basically the southern one half of the viewing area on this Saturday evening, where a severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. Big complex of storms moving through Ohio County. That will be clipping through sections of Grayson County and then push downstate towards southern Kentucky, the Bowling Green area, the Cumberland Parkway here over the next hour or so. And you can see as we look farther west, northwest, no severe weather out Interstate 64 right now. Everything is well south with the exception of the little cell that's moving across northern Jefferson County, southern Clark County. Once that clears, that will be it for the severe threat here in the metro. Now it's this powerful cell, that individual supercellular storm, that we continue to monitor as it's moving away from Bardstown, moving away from Bloomfield, but moving now across basically the northern one half of Washington County in Kentucky, where a tornado warning remains in effect. John?
All right, Jay, National Weather Service says they are still tracking this possible tornado. No reports of touchdowns. Here is Willisburg. Springfield will be just off the bottom of the screen. So this area right in here is what Jay has been talking about. This is moving due east right across the Washington County area. And mostly this has been strong rotation aloft with this storm. No reports of touchdowns. If you're in Washington County, please stay in your tornado safe spot until we give the all clear here, because this could touch down at any point. And again, in Louisville here, the eastern suburbs, 60-mile-per-hour winds possible, quarter-size hail, severe thunderstorm warning continues. Jay?
All right, John, thanks so very much. So there you go. There's that big storm, as you can see, right there north of Springfield. You can see how the tail is hanging back off to the south. The rotation, the strongest rotation, north of Springfield by a few miles. This storm moving off to the east quickly at speeds of around 35 miles per hour. So we'll track it as it continues to move across portions of Washington County. Folks, if you're in northern Washington County, again, stay in your basement. Let this thing get on through. I'm going to track the most dangerous part of the cell, which is right about here as it moves off towards the east. And this will carry it towards Harrodsburg here in relatively short order. There are the communities in the path of this cell, including Willisburg, Mackville, Battle, Cornishville, the Harrodsburg area, and the Fall Corner area, anywhere from 10 minutes to 40 minutes out. Stay in that basement. Watching from Bardstown, watching from Bloomfield, the heaviest part of the storm, the supercellular storm, is out of your region, folks. You can come out of your basements. But again, if you are in Washington County or along, let's say, the Nelson-Washington County line, very close to that, first of all, likely you're seeing some hail in addition to some strong winds. Especially we see the brighter pinks showing up, and also the tornado potential is still there, especially now in northern Washington County. This storm really blowing up and cruising its way quickly off to the east at speeds of around 35 miles per hour. Other big storms in our far southwestern communities coming out of places like Ohio County, heading on into Grayson County. Storms look kind of discombobulated right now, but nonetheless likely producing some pretty high winds, some heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning and thunder, maybe some small hail. Heading towards Litchfield, heading towards Caneyville, the Rough River Lake area, southern portions of Breckinridge County here over the next few minutes. Be on the lookout for some pretty heavy weather in your vicinity as well. And then finally, as we go a little bit farther off to the north, before I go back to John and take a look at more reports coming in from the storms in and around Louisville and areas off to the south. Let's zoom in on this storm where a severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect. You can see it's still now moving into basically the northern 1/3 of Jefferson County, going to clip along 64 and just off to the north, heading towards Oldham County and Shelby County here in relatively short order. In addition to the tornado threat that is now basically in Washington County, northern Washington County, that storm has had a history of producing some pretty large hail. For more on that, let's go over to John Belski. John?
All right, Jay, just loading up this picture from Bardstown here. If you want to take that full screen real quick, quarter size and a little higher. That's with that storm that's triggered the tornado warning. In fact, it was the original strong rotation on the radar. It was right over Bardstown, and again, that's moving east into Washington County. But again, a lot of times with these storms, you do get these hail reports. Checking to see if we have anything else being reported in our area. No, I have not heard any other reports other than getting some hail reports in the city. Anything from about a ½ inch in diameter, pea-size to maybe a ½ inch diameter, dime size. In that general range there is what we're getting several reports of that size.
That hail that fell in Bardstown is likely now immediately west of Willisburg. This is Super Doppler radar right here, that same storm.
Yeah, and that's the second cell that's moved through the Willisburg area just in the last, what, half hour, 45 minutes. Second tornado warning for that area.
Exactly. Lots of rotation. The good news, though, no confirmed touchdowns at this point in time. And let's hope we can keep that trend going. Just a lot of rotation showing up. But keep in mind, whenever you're dealing with rotation, the chances for a storm to produce severe weather go way up. We're talking damaging winds, large hail, something we've already seen, and also possible tornado spin-ups as well. So, all right, here's the Doppler network. What I want to do is just kind of pull out here, take a look at all of the viewing area, and we'll kind of reset to get an idea as to what's going on. Again, immediately west and northwest of Louisville, no severe weather expected the remainder of this Saturday evening. Once we get rid of the storm that's around Jefferson County right now, immediately off to the east of downtown into northeastern Jefferson County, southern Clark County, once that pulls away and weakens, that will be it for the metro, as the main threat is now shifting a little bit farther off to the south. And basically, it's along the parkways and points off to the south right now. Some pretty heavy storms in and around E-Town. At this point in time, those are likely producing some heavy rainfall, some gusty winds, maybe a little bit of small hail, but they don't look all that impressive on the radar scope. This is the storm. That's the main storm in town, so to speak, from near Springfield and especially off to the north, where we have the potential for not only some hail, but also potential for a tornado spin-up and some damaging winds as well. Let's put everything in motion for you, and you can see how these storms just poof, fired up during the 6 o'clock hour and shortly thereafter, really tapping into that instability. We didn't have a lot of it here in town. As you know, temperatures were basically in the 50s for the better part of this day, but you go immediately south of Louisville and we're talking 70s, even a few lower 80s showing up down around Litchfield, Bowling Green, that large temperature contrast leading to a lot of lift in the atmosphere and with a lot of jet stream energy. That right there, big storms firing up and moving off to the east and now slightly south of east, as many of these are rotating, which means they do still have the potential to produce some severe weather. Amazing pictures coming in from sections of Washington County of some of these supercells moving through. More pictures, John. Let's go back over to you for that, John.
Yeah, just got this picture in from Marty at, near Willisburg. Not really showing a tornado, no funnel clouds or anything, but you can kind of see a broad rotation with that picture there, but nothing nothing unusual has been reported so far from this. This has all been radar indicated. I'm just checking on any other reports here, getting no other reports out of Washington County at this point with that tornado warning, which is basically for the northeastern quarter of the county there. So Springfield, you're in the all clear from the warning. This is in the Willisburg area and the rural areas of northeast Washington County. And Jay, you're getting a close view of it up on the radar there.
Yeah.
And again, it's moving along east at about 35 miles per hour. So once the storm clears your area, you can come on out of the basement then.
And the good news about that storm is the tornado warning has just been allowed to expire. The rotation has weakened just a little bit, as John mentioned. No confirmed touchdowns. We're watching it closely for you. It is going to be moving out of the viewing area altogether. Still a chance for some hail in and around northern and northeastern portions of Washington County, Kentucky for the next several minutes, but it looks like the tornado threat, as John just mentioned, is starting to lessen somewhat as we are losing some of the rotation in that particular cell. All right, I'm going to pull out here, take a look at all of the viewing area. We're going to get you back to regular programming since all the tornado warnings have now been discontinued or expired. Once again, the Metro in pretty good shape. Once we get rid of this little cell, once it moves on out, we're in pretty good shape. This has at least the potential for some hail. Latest radar scan showing the hail could be a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch in diameter. This storm is weakening somewhat. It's running through the cooler air north of the warm front, so certainly not a tornado potential at all, but there could be some hail close to Linden right now, up to near and just south of Prospect. This is going to carry it out towards the east and also the southeast on into say northern Shelby County, southern portions of Oldham County. If you're in and around Lake Forest, for example, that storm is bearing down on you. Also the Eastwood area looks like it'll clip your region as it carries along and just north of Interstate 64. So still quite a few storms out there, most of which, the bigger ones, are off to the south of the Metro, with the exception of the little cell we just talked about. Pretty heavy weather now in western Grayson County. That's going to clip through Litchfield and also Caneyville. No severe weather with that at this point in time, although there could be some gusty winds. And the tornado warning for portions of Washington County, that has been discontinued. From this point forward, it looks like the primary threats will be from near the parkways and points off to the south, and everything will get on out of here probably by 9 o'clock tonight across our viewing area. Hey, we'll keep you posted. If any additional tornado warnings are issued, we'll be on immediately. Otherwise, we'll have periodic cut-ins telling you what's going on in and around your hometown. And don't forget, away from your TV set, John and I have you covered on WLKY.com.
That Jesus underwent